Welcome to Nahar JBN Mahakumbh. Event sponsor, Sanfit by Sanson. You have right to enjoy freedom to grow together in 12 days of virtual Global Expo from 20th to 31st August. Now let me explain today's business scenario. Trade and business is finding challenge to adapt digital. Sales and marketing veterans are not geared up selling online. Promoters are not ready to invest in digital assets. Online marketplaces are dominating markets and profits. Generation gap is growing bigger in business families with tech-savvy youth joining. Transformation of business and branding is must for survival of the fittest. How to boost your business growth in 12 days of Nahar JBN Mahakumbh. Connectivity with 9 zones and 67 chapters in India. Expand your wings with 24 plus international locations. Showcase your product or services to 1 lakh plus footfalls. Interact with top corporate presenters, onboarded by all chapters in Inspire. Vendor and tender process by big buyers, simplified by veterans. Fully loaded exhibitor stall with unique URL given to you. You can bring direct footfall by spreading the word in your social media, WhatsApp, website, emails and telecalling. Promote your products on your stall by sampling promo codes, brochure, offers, flyers, your social media handles like FB, Insta, LinkedIn, Pinterest and your entire team getting logged in as exhibitor and free visitor passes to generate leads for you. Your e-commerce handles like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Nykaa or your own e-commerce catalogs, video, presentation, direct WhatsApp, one-to-one connect can be set up in your Mahakumbh profile. Time to showcase your credential, factory videos, facility, awards, rewards. Happy clients served by you in the past via a dynamic stall artwork running for 12 days on LED TV given to your stall. Opportunity for large brands to buckle up their graphic designers, sales, CXOs, PR and communication team on high alert mode to leverage Mahakumbh for B2B, D2C and B2G. Opportunity for small and medium-sized businesses to showcase customer-focused picture of your organization to grow fast and grow more in Mahakumbh. Opportunity for home-based entrepreneurs and freelancers to launch themselves via SSB Dome at nominal price. Business trends keep evolving and so should you. Be ahead of you. Take action now. Master your art of entrepreneurship, networking, negotiation, better understanding of consumer psychology, one-to-one connections, supercharge creativity. Let's take a dip in Nahar JBN Mahakumbh. Enhance the power of your brand. Blast your publicity to global level. Surf and swim with like-minded community. 4 options of stalls to choose with GST as applicable. Jito member, Jito youth and Jito ladies will pay 11,000 rupees. Non-Jito member will pay 15,000 rupees. Small-scale business with less than 20 lakh annual turnover will pay 5,100 for SSB Dome. International Jito members will pay $200. What are you waiting for? Now or never? This is aggregation of 9 JBN 360 program happening together. Register your stall now at Nahar JBN Mahakumbh. www.mahakumbh.online Welcome to Nahar JBN Mahakumbh. Event sponsor, Sanfit by Sanson. You have right to enjoy freedom to grow together in 12 days of virtual Global Expo from 20th to 31st August. Now let me explain today's business scenario. Trade and business is finding challenge to adapt digital. Sales and marketing veterans are not geared up selling online. Promoters are not ready to invest in digital assets. Online marketplaces are dominating markets and profits. Generation gap is growing bigger in business families with tech-savvy youth joining. Transformation of business and branding is must for survival of the fittest. How to boost your business growth in 12 days of Nahar JBN Mahakumbh. Connectivity with 9 zones and 67 chapters in India. Expand your wings with 24 plus international locations. Showcase your product or services to 1 lakh plus footfalls. Interact with top corporate presenters, onboarded by all chapters in Inspire. Vendor and tender process by big buyers, simplified by veterans. Fully loaded exhibitor stall with unique URL given to you. You can bring direct footfall by spreading the word in your social media, WhatsApp, website, emails and telecalling. Promote your products on your stall by sampling promo codes, brochure, offers, flyers, your social media handles like FB, Insta, LinkedIn, Pinterest and your entire team getting logged in as exhibitor and free visitor passes to generate leads for you. Your e-commerce handles like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Nykaa or your own e-commerce catalogs, video, presentation, direct WhatsApp, one-to-one connect can be set up in your Mahakumbh profile. Time to showcase your credential, factory videos, facility, awards, rewards. Happy clients served by you in the past via a dynamic stall artwork running for 12 days on LED TV given to your stall. Opportunity for large brands to buckle up their graphic designers, sales, CXOs, PR and communication team on high alert mode to leverage Mahakumbh for B2B, D2C and B2G. Opportunity for small and medium-sized businesses to showcase customer-focused picture of your organization to grow fast and grow more in Mahakumbh. Opportunity for home-based entrepreneurs and freelancers to launch themselves via SSB Dome at nominal price. Business trends keep evolving and so should you. Be ahead of you. Take action now. Master your art of entrepreneurship, networking, negotiation, better understanding of consumer psychology, one-to-one connections, supercharge creativity. Let's take a dip in Nahar JBN Mahakumbh. Enhance the power of your brand. Blast your publicity to global level. Surf and swim with like-minded community. 4 options of stalls to choose with GST as applicable. Jito member, Jito youth and Jito ladies will pay 11,000 rupees. Non-Jito member will pay 15,000 rupees. Small-scale business with less than 20 lakh annual turnover will pay 5,100 for SSB Dome. International Jito members will pay $200. What are you waiting for? Now or never? This is aggregation of 9 JBN 360 program happening together. Register your stall now at Nahar JBN Mahakumbh. www.mahakumbh.online
1, 0.
Excalibur by Nahar, a project by Nahar Group, one of India's finest premier real estate developers. Envisaged by architect and developer Ajay Nahar. An around-the-clock concierge ensures convenience is delivered to your doorstep. The main lobby, called the Great Hall, is a cacophony of striking black and white marble with luxe gold detailing. Custom-designed high-speed elevators then transport you into a world that transcends the ordinary. Modeled after King Arthur's sword, Excalibur mirrors all its distinguished attributes. It is symphony of engineering excellence and world-class design. The layout of each home is thoughtfully constructed. Meticulously spaced columns allow for uninterrupted views of magnificent Mahalakshmi racecourse and Arabian Sea view. The 12 feet floor-to-floor height adds to the home's expansive ambience. When it comes to amenities, Club Excalibur is an exclusive residence-only space crafted to cater to one's leisure whims. The Kingdom of Dreams, which consists of a luxe banquet with private dining, the Round Table and the Morgan Le Fay Cinema with Dolby Atmos surround sound. One reaches the Tudor Green Sky Garden, the true jewel of the property. Residents have sky-high access to recreation and rejuvenation. With sweeping views of the historic Mahalakshmi racecourse set against the backdrop of the Arabian Sea. Excalibur by Nahar is situated just off Jacob's Circle in Mahalakshmi. Welcome to Alive with your indelible stamp.
Dear friends, today we are here with Jaipat Singh Jain from United States of America, who is a practicing advocate over there. And we have a very interesting topic we discussed with him today to understanding the India-US business relations. Sir, being a highly qualified professional practicing in the States of America, and being in the industry for the last 25 years now, he will be a very big and a better person for us to guide the understanding of the relationship of a business between America and India. So before we begin with, let me introduce you the background of the program which we are doing. Jito, as you all know, Jito is a worldwide body of Jain businessmen, industrialists, knowledge workers, and professionals with 67 national chapters and 11 international chapters with more than 30,000 families. Jito Professional Forum, JPF, one of the flagship projects of Jito, is a unique platform to involve, network, and engage Jain professionals globally and work towards professional development and growth. Another landmark project of Jito is Jito Business Network, which primarily caters to the business community. JBN, which with objective of enable to engage for economic empowerment, is organizing this Nahar JBN Mahakumbh, a global virtual expo with the sole agenda of providing a platform to business network for 400 plus exhibitors and 1 lakh plus expected visitors across 27 plus industry groups. With this, we begin with the program. And uh, I will also would like to introduce our today's speaker, Jaipat Singh. Jaipat Singh Jain is a corporate partner with Lazar Potter, Giacobus and Moyle LLP in New York City. Mr. Jain represents US and international technology and other clients in corporate, securities, and commercial transactions. His practices focuses on mergers and acquisition of private business entities, private securities transactions, organization and governance of business entities, data transfer and privacy, and a wide range of business contracts. Mr. Jain also regularly assists client in cross-border transactions, especially between India and the United States. In addition to assisting clients in corporate matters, Mr. Jain works with them and the firm's litigation team for resolution of disputes. He has successfully represented clients in state and federal commercial litigations and arbitration in the ICC arbitration. He has also worked with US corporations for dispute resolution in India. Mr. Jain is a life fellow of the American Bar Foundation, a member of the Attorney Grievance Committee of New York, First Department, a member of the Board of Directors of the New York City Bar, Chair of Legal Practice, Ethics and Delivery of Legal Services Division of the American Bar Association, International Section, and co-chair of its South Asia, Oceanic and Indian Committee. On a private level, Mr. Jain is an honorary trustee of International Mahavira Jain Mission, a non-profit, and its former president and vice chairman. Mr. Jain is a frequent speaker at businesses and law conferences in the US and abroad, and chaired several continuing legal education programs for the New York City Bar. He is admitted to the bar in New York, England, and Wales, and Delhi. With this, we introduce our speaker for the day, Mr. Jain, Mr. Jaipat Singh. So, it's been a great pleasure having you here with us today on this occasion for this very good knowledge session on understanding the India-USA business relations. To begin with, sir, there are certain questions which we have in our mind as an Indian entrepreneur or a professional or a businessman, how we would want to encash or capitalize upon the opportunity we have in USA. With this, I would have first a small basic question. How does investments by Indians in USA happens, and what are the legal and regulatory perspectives governing the investments by Indians in US?
So, Jai Jinendra, first of all, Sanjay ji, and Jai Jinendra, everybody. It's a pleasure to be at this forum. It was a good experience talking with Sanjay earlier in the week, and I am glad that he has organized this. And the fact that I have been in New York for more than 25 years and practicing as a lawyer, if anything that I have learned here can be of help to my brothers and sisters in Jito, it will be my honor and privilege. So with that, let me take your question, Sanjay. Barring some jurisdictions and in some industries, there is no restriction or differentiation whether a business comes out of India or it comes out of any other jurisdiction. So Indians have no special hoops to jump in order to establish or engage in business here. Indian businesses are at par with other businesses as well. And if Indian businesses establish a business here, just because it has foreign ownership does not mean that they are treated any differently than a domestically owned business. So for instance, if you were to establish a subsidiary here, it is not subject to a different set of rules or taxes merely because it is a foreign owned entity.
Okay.
That's the first important thing to know. Second is that the business of America is business. So it seeks to be business friendly. Each individual state has its own business related laws. Contract law is a state law. Commercial laws are state laws. Civil laws, criminal laws, they are state laws. But anytime there is interstate or out of the country interaction, federal law also comes into play. So anytime a business comes into America, it must keep in mind that there are two sets of laws at work here, state law as well as federal law. So states compete with each other in order to attract businesses. Delaware has become very well known as the state where everybody forms an entity. And the reason it has become very well known is it has very good laws when it comes to entities. It has good system of resolving disputes. And the law is simple. There is, unlike, I would say, company law, the corporate law here is very, very simple. So many times clients out of India ask कि क्या ये सरकार को approval चाहिए होगा इसके लिए? And the answer is nahi. You are a private company. It's your call to make. There is no approval required here. Just comply with the law. There is no filing also here. The fact that you have decided something is good enough. You don't need a local person to be a director. You don't need a local person to be a shareholder. So laws are increasingly becoming friendly towards foreigners. Mm-hmm. Similarly, New York is very well known for commercial law. It seeks to have an international perspective in its laws so that it can attract investors, business people from all over the world. So to close this question quickly, there are no special hoops to cross just because one is coming out of India.
Okay. I think this will give a clear and loud message to all of the participants here or the viewers here that the business of America is to be in business.
Yes,
I think
that is indeed true.
What you sounded was really clear and cut that, when we are talking about the investments to be made by an Indian in the US is welcoming, opening both the arms, wide open and say that come join with us and do business. So that's how the Americans look at India, as what I could summarize out of this. So that's a good advantage. When we talk about the business, the next thing which comes into the mind is the business begins with any business has to begin with that at an international level with a good contract. So what would be the importance of a well-drafted contract? How important would be to have a well-drafted contract when we are talking about overseas business?
Very, very good question, Sanjay. You are a lawyer, you understand the uh, uh, importance of this issue, and I'm glad you have raised it.
Yeah.
Um, Business people work with business because they trust each other. We can make the best contracts, uh, but if the people at the other end are not good, there will be problems. I think this part we Indians understand very well. And a lot of our business takes place in that manner. The part where we don't understand is connected with the importance of a contract. And I have thought about it over the years. And I think there are two reasons. One is uh, our word is our bond, belief. So we don't do all the contract terms in writing. That doesn't work here. Contracts must be written comprehensively. And when you write a contract, the most important thing to write is what is an obligation and what is a condition. I take some responsibility. The other person also takes some responsibility. He or she doesn't perform part of his or her responsibility, so I stop performing. Did the contract provide that? That if the other person doesn't perform this, you can stop performing your duty? That would be a condition. That a condition for my performing is you doing this. But most contracts are not written like that. Most contracts are written, here is a narration of my promises, here is a narration of your promises. So contract drafting becomes important. If business people are doing large business over a contract, it makes sense to draft it because only well-written contracts get enforced. The second thing I found was that maybe we have a little less respect for the enforcement mechanism because maybe in India it takes such a long time to enforce something that we believe that contracts don't have to be written in such a fashion that they have to be enforced. But that mindset must change. So contracts must be in writing. Contracts must be written with a view to enforcement. And enforcement is easy here. Of course, it is very expensive, and we can discuss that. But the mechanisms of enforcement are robust, exist, relatively speedy, but certainly transparent.
I could relate it because if the contract is well drafted, probably there is a very less scope for litigation at first thing. Second thing, even if there is a litigation, then it is only a chances of proving and disproving who is correct and who is wrong.
Right.
I think that way, probably the litigation also becomes quicker and speedy there in US, unlike in Indian countries.
And possibly avoidable. And possibly avoidable.
That is something very important for a businessman to do. Avoid a dispute.
Yes. And if disputes will arise, I mean, बर्तन है तो आवाज आएगी, है ना?
Of course.
But how to do it at minimum noise, minimum cost, that is the trick. That is how one should look at it.
So when we are talking about reducing the risks, one question that comes to my mind is that generally the business when happens between one nation to the other nation or one party to the other party, a product or a service is involved. Of course, a businessman would not be into service; he would be more of into a product. Keeping that into a perspective, or keeping that perspective in mind, the product liability falls on the or the the risk of liability is something which needs to be balanced. So how does one keeps that in mind? Because the first thing for a businessman comes is the risk of liability. What if I do this and it falls back on me?
Good, very good question. So, like we were talking, the government doesn't regulate your micro activities. It leaves it to you, but it expects you to comply with the law. The system of government that America envisaged was of limited government, which means government doesn't, like when you look at Companies Act, there are almost 300 places where the word central government is mentioned. If you do a search of the company law, 300 places. So obviously 300 clauses, 300 places, it means that there is considerable interaction, whether it is, whatever it is, the word exists. So there must be some, correspondence going on between the two. That is not the case. The Secretary of State in a corporate law, if you do a search, he might exist in a few handful of places. But the flip side of that is that if you break the law, there is a very huge litigation industry.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So there used to be a case called McDonald coffee case. Do you remember that?
Vaguely, I do. Yeah.
The McDonald coffee case was that an old lady in her 80s
Yes.
spilled coffee on her thigh. The coffee was very hot.
Very hot. Yeah.
And she ended up with a verdict which ran into several $100 million. So it became a poster child of how litigation has gone amok in this country. That for spilling of a coffee, there is a verdict of hundreds of millions of dollars. So the facts are a little different. The facts are that when that lady got burned, the lawyer made a discovery request. You know discovery very well, Sanjay. To find out how many such cases had come to light.
Mm-hmm.
And another question was, what is the temperature at which you heat the coffee? Now, McDonald didn't bother in answering. The matter got prolonged. Eventually, it turned out that there had been 700 similar cases. Or something like that. And it also turns out that the coffee was heated at about 20 degrees more than what is required under the law to be the maximum temperature.
Okay.
And the reason it was heated so much is because at that level of heat, the beans probably give some special aroma or something.
Okay.
So now the issue is not that she got burned. The issue is that a huge corporation knowingly was selling something that was potentially dangerous, right? It was dangerous because, and then they found out that the cup in which coffee was poured was very, very flimsy, and the cap was imperfect.
Wow.
So now you have coffee, three things going on. A large corporation knowingly hiding, concealing reports of hot coffee burning. Then you have flimsy cups, so the manufacturing of the cups. And then you have coffee, which is 20 degrees or more.
Higher than the. Yeah.
So this takes us to your product liability question.
Correct. Exactly.
Right? So we have cup manufacturer issue liabilities here. You knowingly, for such a hot thing, have such a flimsy cup. You knowingly are breaking the law because you're 20 degrees high. And of course, then there is the concealment aspect of it. right? So if one breaks this down into principles, just to get back to our point, there are three broad categories: negligence, you knowingly had a wrong design, you had a right design, but there was a manufacturing defect, or you failed to warn, you know, you failed to give enough notice.
Because of which the spilling happened.
Because of that, spilling happens. Don't hold it like this, don't press it, uh, hold it here, don't hold it there, you know. If you hold it at the bottom, it's probably, it won't pop up. But if you hold it right there, it'll open up. So failure to warn. The other is, was there any warranty given when this was sold? And has that warranty been breached? So there is a warranty claim there. And then, of course, if you put in commerce something which you know can be dangerous, without taking due care, you have attracted litigation. So product liability literally flows from these things, and it becomes magnifies, it becomes large, and it becomes newsworthy when there is concealment. So exercising care is the heart of it. As Jains, we know that in every way that we conduct things, we should be full of care, right? हमारे महाराज साहब जब बैठते हैं तो
they clean the floor and sit,
right?
Yeah.
And they do it even in front, when the chair is very white, clear, there is nothing in it. Why do they do it even then? That they can see the new chair, new chaddar has been put, everything is clean, but they still do it. Why do they do it? Because they want to send us a message that our life as a Jain is a life of care.
Yeah.
We don't do things carelessly, randomly, recklessly, thoughtlessly. So we are ideally suited to produce products and bring them into the market because it is in our dispensation to exercise due care in anything that we do. Forget about making products and selling them, everything, right?
Exactly. Now, of course, one can escape liability for due care and caution is applied. That is how the Americans also, as you explained, maybe they look at, I believe in you. I believe in you that you won't break the law. But if you are found to break the law, then you will not be spared. Whomever you may be. Whomever you may be. So that's how they look at you. I believe in you completely. And if you are found guilty, then nothing to be spared.
That's true. You are in trouble.
Yeah, that's strict. So that's very straight and clear that, here is the, opportunity for you to do the business. We trust you completely. And if you break the law, then you are in trouble.
Yes.
So yes. It's a very important thing that one who wants to do a business or wants to be associated there will also have to understand that there is a kind of a faith that has been, there's a trust that has been reposed on us. And if the trust is not being kept, then probably, the business fails and ultimately the whole, the transaction goes for a toss.
Yes.
So,
yes. Very well put.
With this, one more point I had in mind, why I was on this point is that now that the digital world is taking over the physical world, the e-commerce is the new era of business or the new trend of the business. Probably one may not how they used to do it in the previous times to physically travel to US and then collaborate with someone and then finally sell the products. Maybe that is not required anymore. There are technologies which connect people for the meetings. There are technology which connects platforms which give you a marketplace to sell. So when the e-commerce is growing in that fast, how are the laws that have been developed in the United States for the e-commerce business as such? wherein it makes user-friendly or the business-friendly to do the business? How does it help them out?
Very good question, Sanjay, because uh, the e-commerce revolution, uh, just as the Uber revolution or the um, um, I would say Uber is a very good example, but Airbnb revolution as well. These uh, transformation of existing businesses into altogether new ways of doing things because of technology has happened faster than the laws have been able to keep up with it.
Keep up with.
So Uberization and Airbnbization of cities occurred before cities could even understand what was happening right in front of them. And something must be said about these people's moxie, you know, uh, uh, that they went ahead and launched their business knowing very well that the regulator will be after them. This is a remarkable thing. It's like the thief was telling the cop that I'm going to go to this bank, now come and catch me, right? It is also obvious that the entire hotel industry related laws, the entire licensing of a taxi driver, he qualifying, getting a license, being approved, all of that laws are very much in existence. They don't have obvious loopholes. They are saying anybody who wants to do this must comply. Yet these businesses came about with enormous, you know, chutzpah and moxie and guts, I would say, and launched and are now part of our conversation, right? I'm taking Uber, and we have Lyft here, you have Ola in India.
Part of life.
Now they have become part of life. People are not buying cars, saying, what is the need? I would rather use Uber.
Well,
and they probably are right. But so you have touched on a point which is a live issue here as well.
oh,
That laws have moved faster. The businesses have moved faster than the laws. But the interesting thing is there is another cross current at work here. Take the case of GDPR
mhm.
or protection of private data, for instance. Laws have moved faster than business.
Oh, data laws are much advanced.
The laws are much advanced. The requirements are way ahead of what businesses are doing. So laws have moved much faster than the ability of business to keep up with them. And now there is another tussle. So on one hand, there is a situation where business had moved very fast, and laws are trying to figure out and catch up. And on the other hand, there are laws have moved fast. If the Indian privacy law is implemented, the bill, if it is implemented, it will compel businesses to do a lot of things which they are not doing at this time, right? So there is this tussle, I would say, going on because of this revolution which has occurred thanks to internet, right?
Yeah.
Because of internet, you and I are talking and others are listening,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So this is, I think, the issue of our times. I don't think there is, but the logistics in the US are much better than logistics in many other countries. So it is possible to get, if I order from Amazon now, it's virtually given that I will have it by tomorrow.
Oh,
right? It is virtually given. And if not tomorrow, day after, there is no element of doubt in my mind that my gratification occurs as soon as I want, you know.
uh-huh.
See, you see, this country is for instant gratification.
No, that is in a way good for the when you are into a business, you need that
Very
instant
good.
gratification. Another way it is a motivation too.
Yes. And,
No,
and impulse buying is there because of
yeah,
that. That's why power of advertising has become so much, because advertising creates that impulse, and impulse creates commerce right away.
yeah, the chain reaction one after the other.
Chain reaction. Exactly.
And I think who better than Americans to understand this? Uh,
Then the other element which has come is the social media, the power of social media, right? Social
yeah.
media is changing us in ways we have yet to understand. So laws are again very much behind and trying to catch up.
Mhm. Probably this is one other good reason that the businesses are growing multifold without there being much regulations. Probably as a business point of view, this is a best time to encash upon this non-regulatory compliances and restrictions, which can one businessman obviously look into in a business perspective to see that you are not restricted in a much stringent way, and you are given an opportunity to conduct the business how you would offline do it. And probably when there are regulations, then you have to undergo the change in your business. By then the business goes multifold. So probably
Yes,
this is a very good opportunity.
yes.
Added to this, what happens is probably back in India here, um, intellectual property is now the booming right, which one person could see here. But looking into the American way of business, intellectual property is also given an equal prominence. Every intellectual property right is also has its own valuation, its own protection, and the infringement has a serious consequences. When a business is also looked in, intellectual property do comes as a also a part of the business, something equivalent to a capital and a product and the intellectual property probably. So how does it work in US, and how is it all seen and
You
protected?
you have explained it very, very well. Intellectual property is the heart of a business today.
Yeah.
See, the businesses that are making really good money are driven by intellectual property, right? Airbnb's model is to be able to connect, right? Uber's model is to be able to connect,
One place to the other.
expeditiously do this. I want to go somewhere, there is a taxi somewhere, that person immediately connects with me, and within seconds,
Yeah.
minutes, you have three options. You have a car here, you have a car there, and you can choose you want a van or you want a small car, and then there is another menu which comes up. Waze, for instance, there is a app on mapping app. When you are driving, there is a app called Waze. Uh, so it pings everybody's GPS and tells you if there is congestion, if there is accident on a real-time basis.
Mm-hmm.
It is so sophisticated. All of this is today technology driven, which means that the people who are going to make supernormal profits are people who have a handle on know-how, the intellectual property. So it is the most important part of a business today. There is no doubt about it.
So it is a heart, as you said, that earlier the brands or the marks or the name of the business had no relevance, probably at an earlier point in time. With the advent of technology, probably intellectual property is the heart of the business. One has to understand that how
That is the heart of the business.
prominent and important it would be when you are doing business.
And surprisingly, Indian businesses, people come, tell everything, their whole story, without even a simple NDA in place.
That is another important.
Right. So we have to learn the grammar of this conversation. The conversation has changed. There is a new language being spoken. And in that, we have to learn the grammar so that we are careful. There should be no decline in enthusiasm to do business. That quality we should never give up. The quality of being able to trust people and make judgment calls should never be given up. It is our strength. To that needs to be added a few other features.
Of course, maybe the right. What I see here is that when we are in the hurry of doing business, probably we forget to take the professional advice. One big mistake probably a businessman does at his initial days, probably. Of course, for a grown businessman, he is fully developed and then he gets into the market. And initial businessman, he is in the hurry to do the business, and then for him the last priority comes the legal and the taxational aspect of the business, probably. So that
Yes.
that scenario should change, and one need to understand that the legal comes first and then the business, so that I am sailed in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which comes first. Business is the business creates everything. Business is wealth creation. Lawyers and law are there to support. So I won't say first and second, but yes, I agree with you that actually we are very smart people, and that sometimes blindsides us. We think that we have covered everything. But when you go to a foreign jurisdiction whose ways of doing things is somewhat different, that may or may not always work. It's good to have some advice.
Exactly. One important factor now, of course, we have understood the the opportunity side or the investment side, and how the business is welcomed, or the e-commerce is seen, the liabilities are there, or the intellectual property. What other important aspect one has to understand, or what may be required to be understood is how does this litigations work in USA? How does they really work? Always it is being told that the most expensive thing in US could be the litigation. Why it could be why is that litigation is so expensive, and how does it work there?
US is a very regulated society. So even when you are free to do business, it is not because we overlooked the idea and so failed to regulate. It is the recognition that unless freedom is given, business won't prosper.
Mm-hmm.
So freedom to do business too is a calculated, regulated move. And like you said earlier, you are free to do what you want. We trust you. But if you break the law, there is trouble coming. So litigation is that trouble, basically. Litigation is that trouble because you don't summarily get caught and put behind bars. There is a due process of law for anything to hold you accountable for damages, to restrain you from doing something, to put you behind the bars. In any of these circumstances, there is no my baap who decides inko band kar diya jaye. There is a process of law. So the process of law is structured. It is intended to be transparent. It is intended not to be arbitrary. It is intended to start with the presumption that the accused, even in a civil case, the accused is innocent. So when you afford all of those protections to the culprit, and there is no summary disposition, the process becomes, longer. The process becomes And when you want everybody to have a fair chance to make their argument, the process becomes multi-step, right? And the litigation cost is very, very high. So my recommendation is that when something is of a small dollar amount, let's say less than $100,000, find a way to solve it at a business level. Don't say, oh, I'm smarter than him and I can prove this in a court of law. By the time you prove this in a court of law, you would have spent $200,000. Right?
Exactly.
So at least take 50% of that to be a threshold.
Yeah.
The second thing is, unless you have a totally winning case, right? Don't fight a litigation. If arguments go both sides, settle. If you won't settle and you go and sue, you will soon settle anyway. Because the cases that are filed, 96, 97, 98% of them always settle.
Settle.
Always settle.
So probably I took a lot of your time. One last question, and I'll try to wind up the session. What are the errors or checks one should do while doing business in US? What are the errors that generally people tend up doing, or what one should be careful about?
I would say paperwork.
Paperwork. Okay.
Paperwork should be good. Even when we decide something over phone, let's say you and I are doing some business and we decide we'll do like this. And this goes to the point that we have to learn a grammar of business, right? That we memorialize it. We send an email saying, as Sanjay ji, it was good talking with you. As discussed, we will be doing this and you will be doing this. Memorialization and paperwork is very, very basic. But I think anybody doing business with the US must try to inculcate that habit. Assuming we are all doing lawful business.
Of course. That was a very good ending note. I could rather say. Yeah. So, sir, with this, I really thank you a lot on behalf of the Jito and Jito Professional Forum that we took your valuable time, and I'm sure that the youth of this nation who is eager to get into the business, or the first-time entrepreneurs who want to be stepping into US, does or might have got a little insight about how does the business work with US and India, and what are the opportunities that are available today, and how the laws are prevailing there. And of course, you are there to help them and guide them out through Jito. And probably this is a very good opportunity for each one of them. And I thank you a lot for sparing time and giving us this insight, sir. Thanks.
You're most welcome. Jai Jain.
Jain.